This is the third and final part of this series on the hidden effects of childhood trauma. Across these videos, we've been looking at trauma responses that often get mistaken for personality. Things like shame, hypervigilance, emotional shutdown, survival mode, and the strange ways the nervous system adapts when growing up doesn't feel safe. And in this final part, we're looking at 3 more patterns that are easy to miss, but once you see them, they explain a lot. The first one is the feeling that people can somehow see right through you. Some people live with a constant feeling that people can see right through you. Not literally, but emotionally. Like people can tell you're insecure. Like they can sense your flaws. Like they somehow already know the thing you're trying hardest to hide. You walk into a room, and part of you already feels exposed. You have a normal conversation, and your body acts like you're being studied. You make a small mistake, and it doesn't just feel awkward, it feels like you've been revealed. This pattern usually carries a lot of toxic shame and hypervigilance. It often comes from growing up in an environment where you had to hide things, hide the truth, hide your feelings, hide what was happening at home, and at the same time, it felt like the adults still somehow knew. Or maybe you lived with the fear of being exposed, cornered, embarrassed, or dragged into the spotlight at exactly the wrong moment. So your nervous system learned something very specific. I am not private. I am not hidden. I can be seen through. And that's why this can feel so intense. Because even when nothing bad is happening, your body is still running an old trauma response. This is one of those hidden patterns of complex trauma that people rarely talk about clearly. So what helps? First, remind yourself, on purpose, that people do not have access to your inner world just because you feel exposed. That feeling is real, but it is not proof. Second, it helps to imagine some kind of boundary around yourself, a protective bubble, a layer of privacy, something that gives your body a signal of containment. Third, work directly with the shame. Because this pattern is not only about fear. It's also about old shame that never got metabolized. That can mean therapy, group work, or any safe space where your nervous system can start learning that being seen is not the same as being exposed. And when that shame stays buried for years, it doesn't disappear. It often comes out sideways. Sometimes people have huge emotional reactions to very small things. A commercial makes them cry. A minor inconvenience makes them rage. A dropped spoon, a delayed text, a random moment in a movie, and suddenly the reaction feels way bigger than the event. That's what I mean by sideways grief, or sideways rage. From the outside, it can look like overreacting. But most of the time, it's not actually about the spoon. It's not about the ad. It's not about the tiny frustration in front of you. It's about unprocessed grief that has been sitting in the body for a very long time. A lot of childhood trauma never gets processed in real time. There was no support. No safe emotional regulation. No adult helping the child feel, name, and move through what happened. So the grief doesn't go away. It gets stored. And later, when something small opens the door, that stored pain leaks out through a side entrance. That's why I call it sideways grief. This is also why some people feel strangely disconnected from major losses, but then get completely flooded by something tiny and random. The nervous system is not being irrational. It is releasing what it never got to release safely. So what helps? First, stop assuming the trigger is the whole story. When the reaction feels huge, ask yourself, what does this feel connected to underneath? Second, track the pattern. Write it down. What happened? What came up? What did it remind you of? That's where real emotional regulation starts, not in suppressing the reaction, but in understanding what the reaction is carrying. Third, process grief in safe places. With a therapist. In a group. Or with someone who can stay steady while you feel something real. Because if grief doesn't come out directly, it often comes out sideways. And if it doesn't come out sideways, sometimes it turns into waiting. A lot of people live like life has not really started yet. They keep saying things like, "I'll begin when I feel ready. I'll do it when I'm finally in the right mood. I'll live after this one thing changes. I'll become myself later." That's what I mean by living on pause. It looks like procrastination from the outside, but often it's deeper than that. A lot of the time, it's a chronic freeze response. It comes from growing up in neglect, fear, helplessness, or an abusive environment where waiting was the only strategy that made sense. When a child cannot fight and cannot leave, the system often learns to freeze, watch, and wait. Wait until it gets better. Wait until the tension drops. Wait until it feels safer to exist. And if no one models real agency, the child can grow into an adult who still lives by the same internal rule. Don't move yet. Not now. Later. That's why this pattern can feel so sticky. Because it's not just about motivation. It's about the nervous system still waiting for permission to live. This is one of the most painful patterns in trauma healing, because people often blame themselves for it. They call themselves lazy, undisciplined, broken. But very often, what they are dealing with is a freeze-based trauma response, not a lack of character. So what helps? This is where the inner adult matters. Not the harsh I, an inner critic, not the panicked pusher. The inner adult. The part of you that can gently take the wheel and say, "We are going to begin before we feel ready." That matters, because if you wait for the mood to change first, you can stay paused for years. Action often has to come before the emotional permission. Not reckless action. Not overwhelming action. Just movement. One email. One step. One honest decision. This is where inner child work and nervous system regulation meet each other. You don't shame the frozen part. You lead it. And when you start leading instead of waiting, something begins to unfreeze. And when you look across all three parts of this series, you start to see the bigger picture. Across these 3 videos, we've covered 11 hidden trauma patterns. These are simply names that help make sense of things I've seen in myself and in other people. Someone else might use different language. That's okay. There is also real overlap here with things like ADHD, ASD, anxiety, and other forms of nervous system dysregulation. But the core point stays the same. These are not permanent character flaws. They are often normal reactions to violence, neglect, family trauma, and abnormal environments. They are survival strategies. And the more clearly you understand them, the less power they tend to have over your life. If one of these patterns hit especially hard, tell me in the comments which one. And if this 3-part series helped you put words to something you've been carrying for years, save it. As always, may you be filled with loving kindness. May you be well. May you be peaceful and at ease. And may you be joyous.